The legends have reached their limit, and this time they are dropping the gloves and saying everything.
They turned our blood, sweat, and rivalries into TikToks and Diddy parties. This ain't the league we built.
The entire legacy established in the 90s is crumbling right before our eyes. The current generation is often seen as too pampered and lacking hustle. The question now is, has this become the low standard for being an NBA star? But here is the genuine bombshell. The issue goes beyond just the players. There is an entire behind-the-scenes system at play, and it is far more questionable than anyone fully understands.
Stay with me as I expose exactly how the league's foundation has shifted, why these veteran legends are publicly condemning it, and the secrets the NBA is desperate to conceal. Wait until you hear the shocking details Magic Johnson shared about the individuals truly pulling the strings in today's game. Seriously, have you felt how different the vibe is watching the NBA these days? Back in the golden era, if a star was healthy, he was on the court. No debate, no weak excuses. Icons like MJ, Larry Bird, Magic, and Shaq, these titans showed up for every single game because that was the unwritten contract of the sport. Today, we observe LeBron sitting out back-to-backs, and the public simply shrugs it off as routine. Decades ago, that kind of action would have sparked an absolute uproar, both in the stadium and online if social media had existed. And it is more than just missed games. The entire competitive fire has changed. Legends from the 90s will tell you flat out, modern athletes couldn't handle that brutal workload. Kevin Garnett has essentially confirmed this himself.
I don't think anybody in this generation could have played like 20 years ago, if I'm being 100. And this is to everybody in our league.
And let us be honest, he spoke the absolute truth. Back then, stepping onto the court meant entering a nightly war zone. The sheer daily physical and mental toll, the unwavering commitment to fight through every obstacle, that fierce spirit has vanished, and the league is undoubtedly suffering because of it. You can clearly track this decline in the statistics. In the 90s, dozens of players routinely completed the entire 82-game schedule almost every season. Now, if you look at the current numbers, it is shocking how few manage to achieve this feat. Sometimes only a handful finish the full calendar. The NBA has effectively exchanged unrelenting sportsmanship for load management and hyper-cautious scheduling. It might be a wise decision for extending careers, absolutely, but for the passionate fans who crave to witness intense, genuine competition on a nightly basis, it feels like a complete betrayal.
And as an entertainer, I want to show, right? So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity.
And do not even start me on the damage this does to the entire culture. In the past, the game was defined by sheer tenacity, raw pride, and delivering an unforgettable spectacle that fans could not find anywhere else. Veterans expected you to always be present, to play through minor pain if necessary, and to fight fiercely for every single possession. Today, the entire narrative has completely pivoted toward personal branding, social media metrics, and individual statistics. This transformation is the precise root of the legend's intense frustration, because long before the NBA became this era of glitz, glamour, and celebrity status, its very foundation was built on intense rivalries, magnetic personalities, and the actual blood and sweat of players who sacrificed everything for the sport. Let us recall that iconic 1979 Indiana State versus Michigan State game, or better yet, the rivalry between Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. Do you think March Madness is massive now? Think again. That game remains the most watched college basketball final ever. Bird embodied the ice-cold, blue-collar worker from Indiana, while Magic was the flamboyant point guard from Michigan. This rivalry, in essence, single-handedly rescued the NBA. A few years later, both of these titans were in the NBA. Bird landed in Boston, Magic in Los Angeles, Celtics versus Lakers. By then, it had moved far beyond mere talent. It was a clash of gigantic personalities, colliding styles of play, and stakes that felt infinitely larger than any ordinary regular season game today. And here is the genuinely insane point. At that time, the NBA was not a celebrity party circuit driven by social media, as it is now. These players showed up every single night. The evidence is clear. Bird suited up for 717 out of 738 possible games in his first 9 seasons. Magic treated performing every night as a sacred duty to the fans. This was merely the beginning, because then Michael Jordan arrived and things truly exploded. MJ was not just another star. He was the undisputed alpha predator, and he did not confine his dominance to the court. He successfully turned basketball into a global obsession. In 1984, he signed with Nike. By the very next year, Air Jordans hit the market and sold millions of pairs in the first 12 months. Suddenly, we were not just passively watching the NBA. We were living it, wearing it, and breathing it. Jordan transcended being just a player. He became a global brand. And that specific brand, well, it stands as the singular most crucial factor that elevated the NBA to a worldwide phenomenon. But the craziest element is how unyielding toughness and cutthroat competition were totally woven into the fabric of that branding.
I hate it, I dislike it. I was just at Michael Jordan's 60th birthday party. He pulled me to the side. And we talked about that for 30 straight minutes.
Really? Because back in the day, you guys
played every game.
There's
no rest.
We want to play every single game. We couldn't wait to get out there on the court.
Magic Johnson powered through pain and injuries because leaving the court was simply never an option on the table. And Jordan, he consistently played full seasons, virtually never taking a night off. This total dedication created a massive ripple effect. Viewership ratings exploded, rivalries became mandatory viewing events, and fans were not mere casual observers, they became deeply emotionally invested. The Bird versus Magic showdowns, the Celtics versus Lakers battles, and then Jordan's absolute command in the 90s. This era injected the NBA with an irresistible personality. It made the NBA indispensable. Therefore, when you analyze the contemporary NBA, with its ubiquitous load management, softer rules, routinely skipped games, and constant social media noise, you grasp the profound cultural loss we've endured. Now prepare yourself, because this is where the story truly becomes shocking. If you thought the intensity of the Bird Magic or Jordan eras was high, you need to fully appreciate the insane depth of their commitment. Back then, playing a full 82-game season was not some extraordinary achievement, it was the absolute baseline standard, and those players treated that standard as sacred. Every single game held weight because the fans expected to see you on the hardwood. They had paid their hard-earned money specifically to watch you perform, so what legitimate justification could you possibly offer for failing to deliver exactly what you were paid to do? That is precisely why I find the modern trend of these new players taking rest days so bafflingly irritating. And what is worse, they show zero sign of shame. Whenever they discuss load management, rest days, or taking time off mid-game, they do it with an unshakable confidence, acting as if this is the proper, expected protocol. The shift is undeniable. Just look at the hard statistics. Between 1980 and 2000, a huge volume of players completed all 82 games every season. In 1980, 56 players achieved it. In 1981, that number rose to 57. In fact, from that year until 2000, the minimum number of players to complete a full season was 50, which happened in 1991. But skip ahead to the modern era. In 2016, only 18 players played the full schedule. The number continued its alarming descent until a mere 5 players completed the full season in 2022. Yes, you heard that correctly, 5. That single figure provides all the evidence needed to understand the current NBA landscape. And the entire situation becomes even more intense when you recall the stories behind these numbers. Remember the 2016 incident when Kobe Bryant slipped on a rebound late in the game against the San Antonio Spurs? He completely dislocated his right middle finger. That finger was so severely bent it literally looked like the number 7. But what did the Mamba do? He limped straight over to the sideline, had his trainer Gary Vitti forcibly push it back into place in real time, and immediately walked back onto the court as if he had not just endured excruciating, debilitating pain.
He dislocated his finger, and it can be really, really difficult. It goes back into place, and then as soon as it goes in, he was gone. Like I patted him on the head, like, okay, it's going to be okay. Next thing I know, he was gone. That, in and of itself, showed the toughness and the tenacity of Kobe Bryant and the will.
He ultimately finished that game with 25 points, despite playing with a dislocated finger. Pause and consider that for a moment. Imagine the reaction today if that happened to a young star. He would likely be placed on a multi-week medical leave. What makes this specific Kobe moment even more impactful is that his previous seasons had been completely plagued by injuries, and his last 3 years were all cut short. Yet, when that finger snapped out of place, he did not retreat. He pressed forward. What about Larry Bird? The man was battling herniated discs and excruciating chronic back pain, yet he still proceeded to dismantle virtually every opponent he faced. And then there is the legendary Michael Jordan flu game. Game 5 of the 1997 Finals. Jordan was suffering from a severe, debilitating illness, but he still managed to pour in 38 incredible points before collapsing on the court and having to be carried off by Scottie Pippen. Speaking of Pippen, when he was recently asked for his opinion on how soft and unmotivated the modern NBA era is, here is what he emphatically stated.
We just had basketball, and it was a lot easier to focus on our craft and our job and grow from that. We didn't have a lot of the distractions that, players have now with social media.
Even Allen Iverson, famous for his smaller stature and electric speed, would never have entertained the idea of skipping a game. For him, such an action was utterly unthinkable. Every evening presented a sacred chance to compete. The very notion of taking a rest day while perfectly healthy, absolutely out of the question.
You could never come to me and talk to me about load management, like, AI, you're not playing tonight. Why? We're resting you. You're resting me, like you're resting me. That's not load management. That's a suspension, man.
Yeah. And the dominant force, Shaquille O'Neal, completely shares that exact sentiment.
NBA's become like too sensitive and political.
Oh, yes. Very, very sensitive, very soft, very political. But
back in that era, the NBA simply offered zero protection. You either stepped up and performed or you did not. That straightforward demand defined the entire culture. Nowadays, you can scroll through social media and half the chatter centers on whether LeBron or Giannis will skip a back-to-back. The key takeaway is this: when legends like Kobe, Bird, and Jordan appeared every single night, it did more than just prove their toughness. It forged the intense rivalries that were the lifeblood of the league. Let us revisit the late 80s and early 90s, a time when the Chicago Bulls' sole mission was to utterly demolish the Detroit Pistons, and the feeling was absolutely mutual. The Pistons were not just a good team, they were the notorious bad boys, the ultimate street-fighting unit. These players were relentlessly physical, intentionally nasty, and they harbored a furious hatred for Michael Jordan. They famously invented the Jordan rules, a strategy engineered specifically to neutralize him completely. And by neutralize, I mean using every physical tactic imaginable. Every time Jordan gained possession of the ball, it seemed like they were genuinely trying to shatter every bone in his body. The conflict was so brutal that Michael Jordan still harbors deep resentment towards them today.
How legitimate was the hatred between those Bulls teams and those Pistons?
Oh, I hated him. And yeah, he carries even to this day.
But here's the single moment that escalated the conflict to an entirely new level. Game 7 of the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals. Chicago finally shattered the barrier after years of being completely dominated by the bad boys. And immediately after the final buzzer, the Pistons simply walked off the court without acknowledging the Bulls or shaking their hands. Why did they do this? It was not merely frustration over the loss. It was a final bitter act of defiance, a statement declaring, "We leave on our terms," in a symbolic rejection of the Bulls' triumph and their own deep-seated hatred. Jordan, naturally, used this refusal as pure burning fuel. That specific moment ignited a fire under him as he charged into the finals against the Lakers. For the fans, this was not just the end of a game. It was the dramatic, satisfying payoff to years of escalating rivalry. Every hard elbow, every piece of trash talk, every questionable tactic the Pistons employed over the years culminated violently in that singular moment. And this was precisely the kind of authentic drama that made the NBA feel like it was something far greater than basketball. Then there were the Celtics and Lakers, the ultimate East versus West spectacle. Bird's Celtics were defined by hard work and uncompromising toughness, while Magic's Lakers were synonymous with flashy flair and unstoppable speed, the very embodiment of showtime. Their finals battles were not just about championship rings, they were epic multi-year sagas. In '84, the Celtics claimed victory. In '85, the Lakers came roaring back. Every possession, every game winner, every clutch shot, and every whispered insult mattered intensely. And let us not forget the Pacers and the Knicks. Reggie Miller openly antagonizing Patrick Ewing at Madison Square Garden? Iconic. Miller dropping 8 points in just 9 seconds? Legendary. This transcended the score. The tension felt so visceral you could practically feel the animosity radiating through the television screen. The thing is, what made these rivalries so unbelievably compelling was not simply the exceptional basketball, it was the human element and the genuine grudges. Then, gradually, everything began to shift. Free agency and the formation of super teams ripped these precious stories apart. Players now routinely switch teams every offseason. Matchups are determined by salary cap logistics and advanced metrics, not deep-seated rivalries or historical grudges. In fact, Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla even openly admitted he wishes the NBA would actually bring back fighting in the league.
The biggest thing that we rob people of from an entertainment standpoint is you can't fight anymore. We should just bring back, fighting.
I mean, I'm not against that. I'm not against those days in the NBA.
City-based rivalries feel hollow now. Back in the day, Detroit versus Chicago, Boston versus LA, that was raw, authentic animosity. Each franchise possessed a distinct, deeply ingrained culture. Today, the NBA is undeniably global, which is fantastic, but this modern structure has essentially extinguished that my city versus your city passion. Most young players rise through the AAU system, travel teams, and early brand development, meaning fewer athletes genuinely embody embody that fierce hometown pride. Roster stability was also paramount. The Bad Boys Pistons stuck together. The Bulls had their immovable core of Jordan and Pippen. The Celtics relied on Bird, McHale, and Parrish. This consistency allowed grudges to fester and truly simmer. Without that foundation, the NBA has undoubtedly lost some of its soul. We still see incredible talent, spectacular games, and endless highlight reels, but that is all there is. Frankly, it makes the NBA feel less intense and substantially less exciting for the core fan base. Being soft and lazy has become an accepted default. It is now considered completely acceptable if superstars skip a back-to-back or take spontaneous rest days based purely on the schedule. But every time that happens, the NBA suffers a material loss. Fans pay peak ticket prices expecting to witness LeBron, Giannis, or Luka in action, only to be met with disappointment. A study presented at the MIT Sports Analytics Conference meticulously detailed this issue. When a star player unexpectedly sits out, the value of the ticket can plummet anywhere from 9% to 24%, roughly translating to a loss of $9 to $33 per person. This decline is reflected everywhere, even in TV ratings. Last season, the league's national TV broadcasts on ABC, ESPN, and TNT averaged about 1.53 million viewers, approximately 2% lower than the previous year. That might not sound catastrophic, but widen the lens. That is hundreds of thousands of people who simply decided not to bother tuning in. This drop is not random. ESPN's own data indicates that games featuring a top 10 star attract 35 to 40% more viewers. Therefore, when players like Giannis, Luka, LeBron, or Steph sit out for rest, the NBA is absorbing a significant financial blow. For devoted fans like us, sure, we'll still happily watch a Thunder versus Wolves game on a random Tuesday night, but for the casual viewer, if the marquee names are absent, the night instantly loses its spark. It is deeply regrettable to witness this transition from the gritty past to an era that now operates purely on analytics and theoretical science. Teams now dictate player rotations based on complex player efficiency models, load metrics, and predictive fatigue data. Yes, the business logic is understood. Teams want to safeguard their multi-million-dollar investments and ensure their stars are fresh for April and May. But the resulting byproduct is severely damaging, and that precisely is the recurring point the old heads are trying to make. Michael Jordan has been explicitly clear on his view: load management is totally unnecessary.
What do you think of when you hear the term load management thrown around?
It shouldn't be needed, first and foremost.
Charles Barkley completely shredded the concept of load management, directly arguing that contemporary players benefit from superior doctors, luxurious travel, and significantly higher salaries, yet they paradoxically spend less time on the court.
Stop this BS with load management. We can't keep crapping on the fans where we're like, wait, you're making $70 million. You can't play basketball 4 days a week?
Even a legendary enforcer, Charles Oakley, publicly backed this statement, saying the same thing.
Are you a fan of just load management?
No.
You're a fan of?
No. I think that you should want to play. They paying your salary. The kids come to the game. They want to see you, especially the team you want to play once at home, once on the road. You got to play these games.
And what is truly astounding is that contemporary players are not even operating under the same set of rules as the older generation. Back in the day, defenders were actually permitted to place hands on the offensive player. Hand checking remained legal for decades until the 2004-2005 season when the NBA officially banned it. The league claimed this was done to enhance freedom of movement, but in reality, it made life far too easy for offensive players. Guards instantly transformed from having to battle through physical obstacles like Bill Laimbeer to basically cruising down open avenues. Immediately following this change, scoring skyrocketed and defense effectively died. This is not mere romanticizing. These are the verified statistics. Before the hand check ban, the league's average points per game hovered around 93. 10 years later, that figure was pushing 102. Today, the average stands at 114 points per game, the highest scoring rate since the early 1970s. You can credit those freedom of movement regulations for that surge. But that was merely the first domino to fall. The moment analytics entered the picture, teams had a profound realization. Wait a minute, 3 points are mathematically superior to 2, and thus began the mathematical takeover of the sport. The numbers unequivocally favored layups and three-pointers, and every team slavishly followed suit. In 2013, teams were launching roughly 21 three-point attempts per game. Now, the average exceeds 35, with the 2024 Boston Celtics setting a staggering record by attempting 3,482 threes in one season. It is baffling how this shift has fundamentally altered the game's aesthetic. The old guard was centered on punishing physical drives, tenacious defense, and genuinely earning every bucket. Now, the focus is entirely entirely unspacing and pace. You no longer see powerhouses like Shaq throwing elbows fiercely in the paint. Instead, you have 7-footers like Karl Anthony Towns and Kristaps Porzingis routinely launching deep shots from the logo. And honestly, even the players who have directly benefited from these liberal rule adjustments have publicly voiced their concern about the negative effect these changes have had on the core game. Just listen to the perspective of JJ Redick.
My argument right now is bring back hand checking. You know what hand checking is going to do? It's going to lead to more shooting fouls.
Yeah.
And yes, the game is undoubtedly faster and far flashier, but it is also noticeably cleaner, perhaps too sanitized. We are missing those gritty, authentic rivalries because players are simply not allowed to engage physically anymore. Oh, and do not even bring up the overwhelming celebrity lifestyle that has completely consumed the league. Social media and personal branding are essentially devouring the sport from the inside. Players are no longer just athletic competitors. They are walking corporations, constantly generating content and functioning as full-scale PR campaigns on 2 legs. Frankly, this constant distraction siphons the focus away from the fundamental game of basketball. Take LeBron James, for instance. Back in 2022, he posted this particular video.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Now, genuinely ask yourself, is there any universe where you would find MJ, Kobe, or Bird cut up in this kind of frivolous mess? I mean, look at this figure. Is he not supposed to be the undisputed dominant player of this generation? And the absurdity does not stop there. Do you recall that bizarre Decision 2 advertisement he filmed for Hennessy? That image is painful. He essentially said, "This autumn I will be bringing my talents to Hennessy VS." No one is arguing that athletes should not cultivate brands outside of basketball. After all, MJ's partnership with Nike remains the single most colossal deal the NBA has ever seen. Yet that never diminished his status as the greatest player the league has ever produced. If anything, it amplified his legend. Furthermore, these modern social platforms make escape impossible. TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Twitter clips, every stunning dunk or insane highlight is instantly sliced into seconds-long shareable videos. While this fuels viral reach, it simultaneously transforms genuine, hard-fought games into bite-sized content, robbing them of the epic showdown feeling we used to experience. The central focus has regrettably shifted from determining who will win the game on the court to who will generate the most likes on their 15-second dunk reel. Then you have the entirely new emphasis on fashion, grooming, and lifestyle. Players once embraced a rugged masculinity and used every opportunity to display that toughness, but now we have athletes like Jared McCain who seem to prioritize this approach.
I hopped into a coffee shop, and then my jaw dropped in shock when I saw a girl who had cool pants. They made me want to dance. I started to...
It is now impossible to deny that basketball is merely one component within a vast multi-channel entertainment empire. While global market penetration and relentless branding are certainly beneficial for the league's financial bottom line, it is incredibly frustrating for fans who deeply cherish the unyielding grit, the demanding grind, and the genuine head-to-head showdowns of the past to watch the NBA sacrifice that essence. So what trajectory lies ahead for the NBA? We have reached a critical juncture. Undeniably, load management will successfully prolong players' careers, but the essential question is, what priceless value are we forfeiting in return? Imagine a league 5 or 10 years from now where it is utterly standard for your favorite player to skip 20 to 30 games per season. While the analytics might deem this smart, from the perspective of a passionate fan, individual games will inevitably lose their profound meaning. Therefore, what concrete actions can actually be taken to rectify this cultural imbalance? First, the players must demonstrate renewed commitment. The league has already implemented the player participation policy in the 2023-24 season to penalize stars who rest while healthy, but this measure is clearly insufficient. Another compelling strategy is to drastically shorten the regular season. Reducing it from 82 games to 72 would ensure that every single game carries genuine weight, acknowledging the reality that the modern athlete often lacks the endurance to comfortably handle 82 games. A third powerful idea is to mandate that stars play a minimum number of games to qualify for major awards or financial bonuses, essentially re-establishing player availability as a crucial performance metric. Furthermore, the NBA needs to find ways to make the regular season feel truly consequential. Currently, too many games are either guaranteed easy wins or seen merely as opportunities to rest star players. While rotating young players is necessary, the league must consistently deliver matchups that feel meaningful and competitive to the audience. They need to reward team continuity, severely penalize unnecessary resting, and ensure the narrative is always focused on the fact that the superstars show up every single night. Finally, the warrior mindset must be aggressively revived. We now have superior recovery methods, elite trainers, and state-of-the-art facilities, yet fans were raised on the principle that you fight through pain and always show up no matter the circumstances. The NBA absolutely requires that uncompromising edge to return. Here's the simple truth. The league possesses unbelievable talent, but if it continues to prioritize rest, analytics, and personal branding over the core spirit of competition, the dedicated fan base will tragically continue to disengage.